I knew this in 2013. I realized very quickly that Bitcoin has all the properties of gold plus certain advantages over gold, namely
Mhm.
weightlessness and instant portability
Mhm.
around the world without geographic proximity. Um, so yeah, Bitcoin is definitely, I would say, over the long term, replaced gold as a yeah, the historic role of gold is now and now is now Bitcoin.
Yeah,
I
and
mean, it's not
your
fully revealed
intuition.
yet, but yeah,
Sorry to interrupt, but your intuition's spot on that it's that limited portability of gold that necessitated the
yeah,
central bank to scale it. So
mhm,
when you optimize the portability of money, as we've done in Bitcoin, the central bank's irrelevant.
yeah.
Um,
So if you're relevant and you have no market services, what happens to you eventually? You know,
Go away.
um, yeah. I mean, the buggy whip industry was pretty awesome for a lot of years, but by 1925, it became problematic. It didn't matter. Like you can use all the force you want to, but there's something more powerful than guns and weaponry and power, and that is markets.
Yes, absolutely. Everything is downstream of economics, as I've argued a lot. I'd like to read
Hmm,
one more. It's
okay.
near the conclusion of your piece here, but I think it's very powerful. You write that the symbolic act of medicinal compliance easily becomes a physical sign of political compliance, the ID card. That then becomes the basis of the reductio ad absurdum, the political purge, an intensification of the mask mandate to become a needle mandate as a means of ferreting out dissidents. Thus does this mandate fulfill the illiberalism of our current moment in civic life and serve only to consolidate political power in the end. Pure is never pure enough, which is why Biden now says he demands 98% vaccination rates, and even small children at zero risk are being roped in. All of this will be as ineffective in achieving its aims as the rest of the virus control strategies. Over time, it only fuels public anger and builds a resistance force and gives rise to new institutions determined to preserve and practice the precious right of human freedom.
Whatever drug I was on when I wrote that, I want to find it. I want to take that all the time. That was good. I'm sorry, but that's good.
Send me some too, because that is
Yeah,
damn good.
yeah, that's really good. Yeah, sorry to praise myself, but yeah, that's good. Sometimes I don't even believe that I write what I write, actually, because every day for me is new and I don't forget what I wrote. But yeah, that was good. And also, actually, I would say prophetic because that's exactly what's happening. The shots are no longer medicine, right? It's no longer, we know this.
Yes.
I think any thinking person who's observing the world around us is not. This is no longer about disease mitigation. I mean, it really
No.
is about compliance. You know, it's whether it's a vaccine or a beanie on your head. I mean, they want to see signs of compliance.
Mm-hmm.
That's what it's all about. And I just have to believe this. I mean, like, so here's the problem: states have outlived their usefulness. And that happened a long time ago, but it's becoming ever more obvious. So, what do you do if you are a state? What are you going to do when history has moved beyond you? When the trajectory of time has called you outmoded? The last time the state did anything really impressive was something like the moonshot, you know, in
Mm-hmm.
1962. I mean, otherwise, there's been nothing but wars and wars. So so this is what's important. They finally seized on epidemiology as a frontier they hadn't quite invaded in a long time,
Mm-hmm.
and they were going to mitigate disease for us, and we were going to all celebrate. Thank you, government, for saving us from a virus. They didn't. It didn't work. It flopped. Their lockdowns, their restrictions, their closures, and now their vaccines, tax funded vaccines, and their jabs. It's been 21 months of catastrophic failure.
Mm-hmm.
So, you know what's next? The state can be creative too. There'll be a next. I don't know what it's going to be,
Mm-hmm.
but if I was going to like put myself into the mind of a Hegelian, I would say um, the state is doomed to obsolescence.
Mhm.
In our lifetimes, I don't know. But it's definitely happening now. When that's complete, I don't know, but it's definitely happening. So we're on this trajectory. We can see it all progressing. We can see what's happening. We can see the state and its managers panicking.
Mhm.
What's our next source of fear? I don't know. The failure to mitigate this disease, even despite the extreme measures which have gone on for so long, is probably certainly the greatest failure of the government in our lifetimes,
Mhm.
maybe in all times. What's next? I hope it's freedom, real freedom. We shall see.
Amen to that. Yeah, it seems as though the state, realizing its obsolescence, needed a pretext to reimpose this political divisiveness. And that
Yeah.
was this quote unquote pandemic.
Yep, I saw this in 2006 when Bush was going on like a lunatic, in press conferences about the avian bird flu.
Mhm.
It was like, oh, we're going to have to lock down. We're going to have to shut your businesses and close your schools. We're all going to have to get into a tremendous frenzy about this. Unfortunately for him, the avian bird flu never left the avian birds, or whatever birds they were,
Mhm.
and entered the human population. So he lost his chance. But that
Mhm.
was 15 years ago. And I wrote at the time, I was like, the state is basically obsolete. They failed at everything they've ever done.
Yeah.
Education, healthcare, national security, you name it. It's one big flop.
Yes.
So we're living in so even in 2006, I said this. I was like, they're looking for a rationale for their existence. Every institution has to have a rationale.
Yes.
What happens when the whole public has just lost belief in an entire institution? Well, now here's what's happening right now. I mean, it's not only the state that's failing, but they're taking all their associated institutions with them. Big media, now big tech, universities and experts, the expertise. I mean, like everything that we're supposed to trust is being discredited right now. So we're experiencing this massive loss of trust in everything we used to, that everybody told us we we're supposed to trust in, and now they've failed. So I mean, the more fundamental question is like, what do you really trust? And that's what all of us are going to ask ourselves right now. What's reliable? What can you depend on? Where's my source of stability in life? What is it? What is not exposed to the contingencies of politics and violence? Where is that? And anything that passes that test is the future.